When their mother mentioned you, God responded immediately. Listen carefully, because this message did not arrive by accident. Before you clicked. Before you even realized your heart was searching for answers. Heaven was already moving. I am Archangel Michael, and I speak now with urgency, authority, and protection over your life. What I am about to reveal was released the moment your name crossed her lips in prayer. Not casually. Not lightly. But with emotion, concern, and trembling truth. You felt it, didn't you? That sudden pressure in your chest. That unexplainable pull to stop scrolling. That quiet whisper saying, "This is about me." Because it is. When their mother spoke your name before God, it was not gossip. It was not suspicion. It was intercession. And heaven does not ignore a mother's prayer, especially when love, destiny, and divine timing are involved. She did not fully understand why you stayed on her mind. She could not explain why your name surfaced again and again. But God already knew. And the moment she mentioned you, God responded immediately. Not later. Not when the time is right. Immediately. There was a shift in the spiritual atmosphere connected to you. You must understand this. Mothers often see what others are blind to. They sense what hearts try to hide. And when she prayed, she wasn't just asking about you, she was unknowingly confirming something heaven had already written. There is a reason resistance has been breaking lately. There is a reason old delays are collapsing. There is a reason conversations you never planned are suddenly approaching. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. God did not respond with confusion. He responded with clarity. He said, "I see them." He said, "I know their heart." He said, "Do not interfere with what I am unfolding." And yes, those exact words matter. Because there were forces trying to interfere. Doubt. Outside opinions. Fear about age, timing, distance, or readiness. Voices whispering, "This doesn't make sense." But when your name was spoken in prayer, God silenced the noise. He reminded her of something she forgot to trust, discernment. And listen closely now. Not everything she said was spoken aloud. Some of it was whispered. Some of it was felt. Some of it was released in tears she couldn't explain. Those tears carried power. They reached heaven faster than you think. And when God responded, He didn't just answer her, He set events in motion that directly involve you. You are being watched, not with suspicion, but with divine attention. Doors are preparing to open that you have no control over. Conversations are being softened before they even begin. Resistance is being replaced with curiosity, and then understanding. That's why someone who once seemed unsure is suddenly thinking deeply about you. That's why silence is turning into restlessness. That's why your presence, your name, your energy, has become impossible to ignore. You didn't force this. You didn't manipulate this. You didn't pray harder than anyone else. God simply honored the moment. And now I must ask you something. Do not answer out loud, but let it settle in your spirit. Are you ready for what happens when prayer meets permission? Because what comes next will surprise you even more than the prayer itself. Stay here. Do not rush. Do not doubt. The next revelation explains what God showed her about you, and why it changed everything she thought she knew. And when you hear it, you will understand why this message found you now. Stay with me, because what I reveal now explains why the response from heaven did not stop at prayer. When their mother mentioned you, God did not answer with words first. He answered with vision. He showed her fragments, moments that didn't fully make sense at the time, yet carried undeniable weight. A sense of peace where fear should have been. A calm certainty replacing old assumptions. An unexpected warmth when she tried to question you in her mind. She attempted to resist it. She told herself, "I'm just overthinking." She said, "This is not my place." She wondered, "Why does this person feel different?" But God does not tease the heart with illusions. When He reveals, it is for purpose. And the vision continued. He showed her your intentions, not the surface ones you display to the world, but the quiet motives you rarely speak about. The way you love without announcing it. The way you carry responsibility even when it costs you sleep. The way you hesitate not because you are unsure, but because you are careful with what matters. This unsettled her. Because it didn't match the narrative she had been repeating. She expected confusion. She expected recklessness. She expected something she could easily dismiss. Instead, God showed her stability. He showed her that your presence in their life was not accidental, not impulsive, not reckless passion, but assignment. That word lingered in the spirit long after the prayer ended. Assignment. You must understand something important now. When God assigns someone, He also guards them. That is why every attempt to misunderstand you has fallen short. That is why criticism never fully landed. That is why even concern keeps turning into protection. And this is where it becomes intense. Because when God responded, He did not just reassure her, He warned her. He warned her not to speak carelessly about you. Not to interfere prematurely. Not to sow doubt where He was building trust. Some mothers pray to stop something. Others pray to confirm something. She didn't realize which one she was doing until it was already answered. That's why she grew quiet afterward. That's why questions replaced opinions. That's why her tone shifted when your name came up again. You felt that shift, didn't you? The energy changed. The resistance softened. The invisible wall began to dissolve. Because God does not just prepare hearts, He prepares timing. And your timing is approaching. But listen carefully, this does not mean everything will suddenly be easy. Divine alignment does not remove testing, it reveals truth under pressure. There will be moments when you are observed closely. Moments when your reactions matter more than your words. Moments when patience speaks louder than explanation. This is not punishment. This is confirmation. God is allowing proof, not for you, but for those who prayed. And here is something few people are told. When a mother prays and God responds immediately, it is often because a covenant is near. Not just romance. Not just connection. But something that reshapes futures, families, and legacy. Yes, legacy. That is why the stakes feel high. That is why emotions feel amplified. That is why the spiritual atmosphere around this connection feels heavy, but holy. You were never meant to chase this. You were meant to be revealed. That is why doors are opening without you knocking. That is why conversations are happening without you forcing them. That is why someone is feeling the pressure to choose clarity over confusion. God is accelerating what hesitation delayed. And yet, there is one final layer you must be prepared for. Because after the vision came the test. God showed her something she did not expect to see, your endurance. He showed how much you've already survived. How many silent battles you've won. How much loss didn't harden your heart. That moved her. Because endurance carries authority. And authority commands respect, even from those who didn't plan to give it. Now let me speak directly to you, with no symbolism, no veil. Do not shrink yourself to make this easier for others. Do not rush to explain what God is unfolding. Do not doubt because silence still exists. Silence right now is not rejection, it is reverence. Something sacred is being handled carefully. And here is the hook you must not ignore. There is one thing God revealed next, something about what comes after acceptance, not before. And when that moment arrives, it will force a decision that cannot be undone. Stay with me. Because the next message reveals why this decision will happen sooner than you expect, and who will initiate it. Do not look away now, because what unfolds next is where many lose clarity if they are not spiritually anchored. After acceptance began forming, quietly, cautiously, God did not allow comfort to settle too soon. He revealed something deeper, something that shook the inner foundation of that prayer. He showed her movement. Not emotional movement. Not curiosity. But irreversible direction. She saw a crossroads forming, one path familiar, safe, predictable, and the other unsettling because it required trust in what God was doing beyond her understanding. This is where her heart wrestled. Because God revealed that once acceptance settled, action would follow. And that action would not come from you first. Let that land. You are not the one who must convince. You are not the one who must push. You are not the one who must initiate what comes next. God revealed that initiation would come from the one who has been holding back. The delay you felt? The pauses? The mixed signals? They were not uncertainty about you. They were fear of the magnitude of what choosing you would change. God showed her that this connection alters priorities. It rearranges timelines. It forces truth to rise where comfort once lived. That is why resistance existed. Not because of incompatibility, but because of consequence. And here is where the revelation becomes personal for you. God showed that once the decision is made, there is no casual return to how things were before. This is not a try and see situation. This is a line crossed. That's why heaven slowed things down. Because rushed alignment creates regret. But prepared alignment creates peace. And peace is what God is guarding right now. You may have wondered why things felt almost ready, but not fully. Why conversations started, but didn't finish. Why feelings surfaced, but weren't named. This was intentional. God was allowing internal honesty to mature. Because the next step requires bold clarity, not emotional impulse. And now, the pressure is shifting. The one who has been watching quietly is feeling it. The one who prayed and then tried to step back is feeling it. The one who said, "Let me wait," is feeling time accelerate. Why? Because God revealed something that cannot be unseen. He revealed what happens if this connection is ignored. Not punishment, but loss. Loss of peace. Loss of alignment. Loss of something that will not return in the same form again. This realization changed the prayer. It moved from, "Should this happen?" to, "What if it doesn't?" And that question carries weight. Because heaven is not forcing, He is presenting. And here is where you must stay centered. When initiation comes, it will not look dramatic at first. It will not be loud. It will not be public. It will begin with honesty. A question asked differently than before. A conversation that goes deeper instead of circling. A tone that no longer hides behind caution. You will feel it immediately. Your spirit will recognize it before your mind explains it. And this is important, listen carefully. When that moment comes, do not test it. Do not pull away to see if it follows. Do not retreat to protect yourself. Meet clarity with clarity. God is not opening this door for games. And yes, this is where many people sabotage divine timing without realizing it. Because when alignment arrives, fear often disguises itself as wisdom. But God has already prepared you. He has refined your patience. He has strengthened your discernment. He has softened your heart without weakening your boundaries. That is not accidental. That is preparation for leadership within connection. And here is the detail that shook her the most. God showed her that once this choice is made, others will question it, but it will stand. Opinions will surface. Assumptions will rise. But peace will remain unshaken. That is how she knew it was God. Because human decisions create anxiety. Divine decisions create steadiness, even under pressure. And now the urgency increases. Because God does not reveal consequence without nearness. The season of observation is ending. The season of decision is approaching. And someone is about to speak words they have rehearsed silently many times. But there is still one layer left. One final revelation God released after all of this, something He showed her about your role after the decision is made. And this part explains why you had to be prepared first. Stay here. Because the next message reveals why you are not just chosen, you are entrusted. And once you hear that, everything will make sense. Remain steady, because what is revealed now is not about attraction, timing, or even choice. it is about responsibility. After the vision of decision, after the understanding that acceptance would lead to irreversible movement, God showed her your role beyond the moment of choosing. This is where the weight of the revelation settled heavily in her spirit. He showed her that you are not entering this connection to be carried, but to carry. That startled her. Because many people love loudly but lead poorly. Many desire connection but resist stewardship. Yet what God revealed about you was different. He showed her that once the decision is made, you become an anchor. Not controlling. Not overpowering. But stabilizing. The kind of presence that quiets storms rather than amplifies them. The kind of leadership that does not demand, but reassures. The kind of strength that does not announce itself, yet is felt immediately. This is why preparation mattered. God does not entrust weight to those who still seek validation. He does not assign responsibility to those who flee pressure. He does not bind futures to those who confuse intensity with maturity. And you have been tempered. She saw moments from your past, not as memories, but as proof. Proof that pain refined you instead of breaking you. Proof that disappointment taught you discernment instead of bitterness. Proof that solitude deepened your wisdom rather than hollowed your heart. That understanding changed how she prayed. Her prayer shifted from concern to covering. She began asking God to protect what He was building through you, not to interrupt it. This matters more than you realize. Because when a mother shifts from questioning to covering, heaven responds with expansion. God then revealed something that required courage for her to accept. He showed her that your role is not to disappear into the relationship, but to shape the environment of it. You will set the emotional temperature. You will model calm where anxiety tries to rise. You will become the standard for how conflict is handled, not avoided. This is not burden, it is calling. And yes, it will be noticed. The one connected to you will feel safer being honest. Stronger being vulnerable. More confident making decisions. Not because you control, but because you ground. This is why heaven slowed the process. Because authority without gentleness becomes dominance. And gentleness without authority becomes instability. God has balanced both within you. And now comes the urgent part. Once the decision is spoken, you will be tested immediately. Not by betrayal. Not by loss. But by pressure. Outside voices. Unexpected opinions. Subtle doubts disguised as concern. This is where your role becomes visible. You will not be called to defend aggressively. You will not be asked to explain everything. You will be asked, silently, to remain steady. And that steadiness will answer questions no argument ever could. This is what God showed her last, and it sealed her understanding. He showed her a moment after the decision, after the initial uncertainty fades, when peace settles so deeply that it cannot be denied. She recognized it. Not because it looked dramatic, but because it felt right. And that peace carried confirmation stronger than logic. Now hear me clearly, because this part is for you alone. Do not underestimate your influence. Do not shrink your presence to avoid attention. Do not fear the responsibility God has already equipped you to carry. You are not stepping into this unprepared. Heaven has already weighed you, and found you ready. And yet, there is still one final movement left. Because after responsibility comes revelation. God did not stop with showing her who you are in the connection. He showed her what comes through you after alignment is established. And this final revelation explains why the response from heaven was immediate when your name was spoken. Stay with me. Because the next message reveals what God is about to release because of this union, and why timing now matters more than ever. Do not rush past this final revelation, because what God showed her last explains why heaven moved so quickly when your name was spoken. After responsibility came revelation. God showed her that this connection is not an ending, it is a gateway. Something begins after alignment that could not begin before it. He showed her that once this union is acknowledged, once the decision is made and peace settles, release follows. Not struggle. Not confusion. Release. He revealed that through you comes stability that spills outward. That what is built between you does not stay contained, it strengthens others quietly, without announcement. Families feel it. Decisions become clearer. Fear loosens its grip. This is why the response was immediate. Because some prayers are not about permission, they are about timing. God was waiting for the question so he could unlock what was already prepared. He showed her moments ahead, simple moments, not dramatic ones, where laughter returns easily, where rest feels safe again, where the future no longer feels like something to survive but something to step into. And then he showed her something that made her pause in silence. He showed her peace replacing old cycles. Patterns that once repeated, stopping. Emotional tension that once lingered, dissolving. Anxiety that once dominated decisions, losing authority. That is not coincidence. That is covenant-level alignment. And this is why I speak to you now with urgency. Do not delay when clarity arrives. Do not second-guess when peace confirms. Do not allow old fears to negotiate with new truth. The timing is now because the season is right, not because everything is perfect. God does not wait for perfection. He waits for readiness. And readiness has been established. The final thing God revealed shook her deeply. He showed her that if this moment were ignored, if fear were allowed to lead, both paths would still move forward, but separately, and with a quiet sense of what might have been. Not punishment. Not chaos. Just absence. And that absence carried grief. That is why urgency replaced hesitation. That is why silence became prayer. That is why resistance turned into release. Because she understood something many never do. When God responds immediately, it is because delay would cost more than action. And now, the decision is no longer theoretical. Words will be spoken soon. Clarity will surface. A step will be taken that cannot be taken back. When that moment arrives, remember this. You were not chosen because you asked. You were not chosen because you waited. You were chosen because you were prepared. Stand in that truth. Respond with steadiness, not fear. With confidence, not pressure. With presence, not performance. And yes, this is where faith becomes visible. Before I go, let me speak a blessing over you. May confusion lift completely. May peace guard your heart and mind. May courage rise exactly when it is needed. May your steps be ordered, your words be clear, and your spirit remain anchored. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not mistaken. Heaven has already responded. And now, the earth is about to catch up. If this message stirred something deep within you, receive it. Stay aligned. Stay present. And remain open, because what unfolds next will confirm everything you've just heard. This is Archangel Michael. And this was never random.